Ruth.
Okay, so yeah, it's just been such a miracle finding this product, hearing Deb's testimony that I saw online and some of the other girls in New Zealand here. It's like, wow, this is amazing. Like I have to give it a go. I was at such a low place in my life and with my health that I just had to try anything. So part of my story is I had trouble eating from 5 to 6 years ago and was diagnosed with Achalasia between 4 and 5 years ago. So that means that it's hard for me to eat. My esophagus is partly paralyzed. The LES that sits at the bottom of the esophagus closes off and it just doesn't open like most people's um, LES. And in more recent times, in more recent years, the UES, which sits at the top of the esophagus, that also seizes. So it feels like I'm being strangled or choked when I'm trying to eat, and usually when I first try to eat. I also get esophagus spasms, which, yeah, they can be pretty painful. They usually happen at night. And yeah, if they happen during the day, I struggle to talk. They're a little bit like having a heart attack. The pain radiates up and down your spine, down your arm, into your head. So yeah, not very nice. At my sickest, about 4 to 5 years ago, I was 37 kilos, and I've had three surgeries to allow me to keep eating. And sometimes I eat fine, but every meal can be hard. Drinking can be hard at times. And it's just, they just manage achalasia. So I was going through a pretty rough time in the last year, under a lot of stress with work, a relationship breakup, and also my achalasia. And this year, I'd lost another 5 kilos after putting on weight after surgeries. I'd then lost another 5 kilos, and I was just losing it all year. Since going on the patches in the last probably 6 weeks, I've put on about 1.5 kilos, which is huge for me. The week before I started using the patches, I had missed out on being able to eat between lunchtime and either 10 or 11 o'clock the next day. And when I was already feeling so weak, that was a long time for me to go without anything. There was another meal that I really had a lot of trouble eating. And since starting on the patches, I haven't missed a meal. It doesn't mean that eating's perfect. I still struggle, but it is just a huge improvement. When I do have a spasm, if it's in the middle of the night, I might lean over, grab a X39 and put it on my esophagus. And 80% of the time, that spasm will go within maybe 10 or 20 seconds. And I don't have to get up and, yeah, use something else to try and get rid of that pain. So just incredible. The stress, that was the first thing that I noticed. Um, yeah, I was starting to get anxiety, and at work, being on a front desk, you do get a bit of abuse. And with all the other stress I was under, it was, yeah, giving me a bit of anxiety, just too much going on for me at that time. And so, yeah, that was the first thing I noticed in the first week, in the first few days, even that there was no more anxiety. And in the workplace, being under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, and then that extra, the customers, if you're dealing with an irate customer, that, yeah, just I'm just so much stronger in dealing with all that now. And yeah, just like a different person. I'm about 8 weeks in now and just so excited to see where it's going to take me. I had a phone call about 5 weeks ago from a Waikato surgeon. He wanted to do further surgery, poem surgery, it's called, and that's on the LES, where they, yeah, cut open the LES further to allow me to keep eating. And I was able to tell him what I was doing. And yeah, I said, look, I can't go ahead with the surgery. And I really need to give this a good go for another 6 months. And he was really open to that. He said, yeah, we'll redo all your tests in 6 months. And yeah, we'll revisit it then. So yeah, he was actually quite interested in the product and the results I'd had so far. Um, I've also noticed a difference with eczema. I had eczema around my rings, on my hands, um, yeah, and a bit on my face, and that's cleared up. It's taken the 8 weeks. It's probably in the last week I've noticed more of an improvement with that, and I've also noticed my eyesight has got better. Um, and I went in for an eye test last week, and usually my eyesight would get worse every eye test in the last 30 years. And the last test that I got done, even though my eyesight had deteriorated in these 8 weeks, when I got it tested last week, my eyesight is the same as 3 years ago. So it'll be really neat to see in the next 6 months where my eyesight is. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's my story so far. And yeah, can't wait for that to keep changing. Just so exciting.